for the players and coaches as a function of some changing with our schedule for Clemson University fall break, which is next week, so be on the lookout for that. Tickets do remain for Clemson's 3-game homestand to close the year against Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina. Those are available at ClemsonTigers.com or by calling 1-800-CLEMSON. But we'll get to today's press conference. Format will be the same. Coach will have some opening comments. We'll go to questions in the room and then finish with questions virtually. So, Coach, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Ross. Good morning. Well, we're excited to get back in the fight. You know, it was good to have an open date. I think very beneficial for us as a staff and certainly for our guys with 12 weeks of really just, you know, competitive work. So thankful that everyone had a chance to kind of regroup a little bit. We had a lot of stuff that we need to get taken care of academically as well. And so just a good reset for everyone. Obviously, today's November 1, and, you know, it's good to be in the position that we're in, you know, to be sitting here, you know, 8-0. It's a credit to our team and our staff. These guys have fought all year to get to this point, and I'm just really proud of them. I mean, we've been far from perfect, that's for sure, and when it comes to as far as how we've maybe played or executed at times, but we found ways to win games, and that's a skill. That's a skill, and this team has that skill, and I'm really proud of them. You know, for that. I think health-wise, we're as good as we've been in a long time. Obviously, it's Tuesday practice, and today and tomorrow will be two tough practices as we really ramp it back up and get ready for game mode. But we're in a good spot, you know, going into this phase of our season from a health standpoint, and hopefully that'll continue to be the case. But really excited about, you know, going up to Notre Dame. I mean, this is a really good football team. You know, it's a team that when you really look at them and you study them and have watched, you know, every play of every game and really, you know, a good feel for who they are. Man, I think, and I don't know Coach Freeman, but, man, he's done a great job of really, you know, just settling them in is the best way I could say it. I mean, they had two tough losses. And when you're at a place like Notre Dame, and just like at Clemson, you know, it just really shows the type of leader that I think he is, that he's been able to really overcome that and really settle them down, both and manage that staff and manage his team. I'm really impressed with, you know, I know he's always been a great coach, but I'm impressed with him as a leader because it's a difficult thing to do. So a couple tough losses early. They've had injuries, you know. They lost their starting quarterback. They had to kind of redefine themselves in some areas. They lost a great receiver. They've had, you know, another tight end out. They've had good players that they've lost, but they still got, you know, 8 starters back on offense and 7 back on defense. It's a really veteran football team, and all of a sudden you don't get off to the start that you want. And we're right there against Ohio State, you know, and in the fourth quarter. And then obviously another difficult loss after that, and your quarterback gets hurt. You know, how do you handle that? Well, I mean, they've won 5 out of 6. You know, they've settled down. I think they have found their identity. They're getting the ball to their playmakers. You know, and you know, 10 Pine, who's come in, has really settled in, you know, to the role. I think early on, you know, they were trying to really kind of figure out some things, but man, they got 3 grown men at running back, and you know, there's no secret what their identity is, and you can either match that or you can't. You know, because I mean, and you've played 8 games, so you have a distinct style of play at this point, and they're a very physical group. All 3 backs can beat you. All 3 of them, they all got about the same amount of carries. I mean, these guys are really, really good football players. We saw one up close a couple years ago. They've settled in at receiver, got 3 really good receivers in 0 and 4 and 83, and then 87 is a All-American. I mean, he's a great football player that they use. But you know, they have a style of play, and you either are ready for that or you're not. So it's going to be a very physical game. No secret there. And then we can't give these guys short fields. We can't turn the ball over. We got to get back to we had 3 turnovers in 7 games, and then all of a sudden we have 4 in 1 game. So that's a recipe for disaster, and we were very fortunate to overcome that. It'd be hard to overcome that on the road at a place like Notre Dame. So we got to do a good job ball security wise and try to turn them over and not let them control the ball. And then on the flip side, defensively, they're very well coached, they're well positioned, they're big, they're strong. Same thing, same mindset. That's what they practice against every day. It's a physical mindset that they have, and so do a good job schematically on the back end. They got some veteran players, again, 7 starters back on the defensive side. The 3 linebackers I think are outstanding, got a ton of experience, so. It's a complete football team. Excellent punter, excellent kicker, and they have, again, I think, as things kind of got away from them early, it's really good to see, because again, I know what it's like to be in that situation, where there's a lot of disappointment early, especially at a place like Notre Dame, and then to see them respond, I think you got to give them a lot of credit to those kids and to that coaching staff, in particular Marcus and the job he's done. So winning 5 out of 6, they're a confident group coming off a ranked win. They're one of the few teams out there in the country that have multiple ranked wins. So definitely going to be a tough challenge up there, but we're excited about it. Looking forward to it. I'm sure they're disappointed it's not going to be 3 inches of snow. So maybe one day that'll work out, but I think it's going to be a beautiful night and a great opportunity for both teams, and should be a heck of a football game.
Coach, you played there 2 years ago, obviously, but limited fans because of COVID. How exciting is it for you and your guys to be in that environment, that stadium, and with a packed house prime time? Yeah,
well, I think that's what makes college football great. And as a competitor and somebody who's been a part of college football for since 1988, as a player and a coach, I mean, I love that. I love playing in Tuscaloosa. I love playing at Legion Field. I know that's a thing of the past, but I love that. I love that environment. I love going on the road to Knoxville and Baton Rouge and Arkansas and you name it. Been all over the country, and then coming to a place like Clemson and getting a chance to coach in a venue like this. I mean, it's special. And then all these places we get to go to. I mean, it's awesome. Going down. I thought the crowd at Florida State a couple weeks ago was tremendous. We know everywhere we go, we're going to get everybody's best shot. We're going to get everybody's best fan support. You name it. It kind of comes with being at Clemson, and I think as a competitor, you love that. And as a college person, whether you're a coach or a player, is special. And then you have places like Notre Dame, right? Like that's iconic. And I mean, we've won there one time since 1979. Now, I know we've only played there once, but still, I mean, it's not like you get to go to a place like Notre Dame every year. And I think, the history of Notre Dame, the brand of Notre Dame it speaks for itself. I mean, this is a historic place that Tim Beret loves to tell me about for 20 years. So I know way more about Notre Dame than I probably should, but it's special, and I am glad. We were thankful to be able to play, but also at the same time, it's kind of disappointing, because especially when you have this vision, and you go up there and and it is what it is at that time. But so it is exciting to be able to see Notre Dame at its best, and I know that's what we'll get. We'll get the best they got, and look forward to competing against them.
There's been a lot of attention on Mayer for defense. Yet he's still targeted a lot, and he's still very productive. What, based on what you've seen, what are they doing to still get him the ball amid all that attention?
I mean, it's all built through the run game. I mean, they move him around. First of all, they'll put him outside and they'll line him up and throw one-on-one red zone shot to him. They'll put him in the slot and run an inside fade. They run double moves with him. They'll use him like a receiver, but most of this, I mean, they screen it to him. I mean, they'll literally screen it to him like he's a receiver. But they've handed it to him in the backfield. But most of it comes through all their run action. Swap, boots, where's Waldo? I mean, he's all over the place. He's 1, he's 2, he's 3. He's because you got to stop the run. You have to stop the run, or they're gonna kill you. And then 3 backs are sledgehammers, and then all them guys up front, them offensive linemen, they create extra gaps formationally. It's a real challenge to line up against these guys because it's a different type of football than maybe you see on a weekly basis. So challenge you from a discipline standpoint, a leverage standpoint, alignment, because you have to stop the run. And then they create off of that with all the quarterback. He's not a guy that they're going to put in the shotgun and just drop back and throw it 50 times. That's not who they are. He's going to be on the move all the time, and it all comes off of everything they do, whether it be the power, the counter, the stretch, the swap boot stuff. It doesn't matter. So they're just creative with where they put him. How they involve him in the just normal pass game, but then all the play action stuff. So everybody knows he's going to get the ball, but again, you still have to respect him as a blocker, and you have to stop the run to have a chance on these guys. If you don't, you're not going to win.
How creative or how much have they evolved their running game as the season gone on? Have you noticed that?
They do what they do. It's a million ways to get to it, but boom, there's the power. At the end of the day, that's what's coming. It's the swap zone. But they do a really good job creatively wise as far as how they get to those things. Million ways to do it, but when it's all said and done, the ball snap, here comes the power right at you, and you have to be able to fit it all up against. All their different looks, alignments, motions, et cetera. So they do a really nice job. Got a good package.
Dabo, another interesting bit of information that Tim Beret shared with us this week is how both your team and Notre Dame have exhibited quite a propensity for blocking kicks,
yep.
Be they punts or field goals.
Yep.
Has that been a stress point this week?
They 3 games in a row. That might be a record. I don't know. 4 is probably a record. I don't. It's hard to do that. And 3 games in a row where they blocked a punt, and as you said, 5 on the year. That's something absolutely got our attention. High alert. We got to do a great job of communicating and making sure that everybody understands, their job and how to apply what we do to what you see. They've done a great job coming after it.
Talked this year about the obvious improved play of your quarterback. Is he mentally better off this year to kind of go into the rut that he did than he would have been last year? Yeah, absolutely. You've seen that throughout the year. He's had some bad moments, and he's snapped out of it. Just he's a totally different guy, and our expectation is for him to go play his best game. That's what I expect. He's go back to work. He had a bad day. There's no question about that. But again, I know I gave the analogy, and Steph probably wasn't a good analogy, right? He's never been 2 for 25. Maybe 15 for 25 is a bad day, but maybe an ace pitcher, right? We got the World Series going on. You put your ace on the mound, like there's a certain expectation, right? That's just the way it is. You put Nolan Ryan out there, you put whoever it is, like you got an expectation of what you're going to get from your guy. But even the best of the best, next thing you know, they've hit 3 home runs off of him in the second inning, and it just ain't his day, right? So you just got to give somebody else, you're not going to let him get 4 home runs. If you do, you're just stupid. But that guy's going to come back the next week, right? Or whenever his next start is, he's going to get right back at it. You compete long enough, you're not nobody. We're people. These are people, and people are not perfect. We're just not. We have moments from time to time. I'm sure y'all have some days better than others.
you learn from it and you move on. But yeah, you have to be made of the right stuff to be able to let it help you get better and not lead to more. And he's been awesome, all year. And we're not 8-0 if it's not for DJ. So yeah, he had a bad game, but that's why you got a team. And it was great, kind of best case scenario in a worst case moment, right? You're down 11 in the fourth quarter and you got to put your freshmen in there and say, go get them. And you know what? The team rallied. And I think that's a skill. It's a skill to be able to find a way to win a game like that where everything, kind of Murphy's Law, everything is against you. And you have days like that. And you have days that go the other way too. So it is what it is. But man, I'm really proud of DJ and how he's handled himself and how he's led, and he certainly knows he can't go play like that. There's a standard, right? And there's the expectation. I mean, he's the ace. You got to go do your job.
Who pointed out to you that stat wasn't?
Yeah, I don't know. I caught it from a couple of people, that, hey, look, it's probably a bad example, Coach. Steph ain't ever been 2 for 25. I think I offended some of the players or something, So, well, that's probably true. But you know my point. You get my point. It was a bad day. The best of the best have a bad day. But, yeah, probably more like 15 for 25 for him. Bad day. From 3.
Coach, I know you shut out Syracuse in the second half, but how much of a difference will it make having Barrett Carter on the field, assuming he's able to play?
I mean, he's a difference maker, so it makes a big difference. I mean, he's a great football player. He's dynamic. He's great in the run game. I mean, he can cover, really anybody. He can hold his own. He's just got elite speed. He's a little bit of an eraser. He can fix some mistakes that may happen, whether it be up front or, the second level. I mean, he's just a great player. So I mean, he's a big difference.
As you talk about getting the ball to your playmakers, Bo Collins hasn't had a catch in 2 games. Is that just as a receiver something you have to live with game to game? You might not get the ball, or you tried to get him the ball more when that happened?
Well, I mean, you can, we tried a few things. It just didn't work out. We got a huge PI on a post route. I mean, there's other things that show up. He's had opportunity. It just hadn't worked out. And again, that's the life of a receiver. But we're trying to win the game. And these past 2 games, I mean, it's been a real run focus, and we've been successful, other than the turnovers. But man, Bo's he'll have a bunch more games. He's already had some great games, and he'll have a bunch more as we go through the rest of the season. But it just kind of worked out that way the last couple weeks, and he's had opportunity. Just either the ball hasn't gone to him, or we've had a PI or a missed play. He had a drop ball. He had 1 drop. We had a screen we didn't throw. Just different things. But it kind of comes and goes in the life of a wideout.
When an open date comes at this time of the year with enough of a sample size of games, is there an evaluation like that of, well, this guy didn't get the ball more, let's try that, or maybe a few other receivers who haven't been as much in the mix as you would want? Is that a big discussion?
I mean, I think this is the time of year where your best players got to lead, and they got to be at their best. And you kind of know who you are, and you want to give everybody opportunity to be a part of the game. And we've always tried to do that, but sometimes the game dictates different things. And maybe one guy doesn't have a great day, but Shipley went off for 240-something yards all purpose and 172 yards rushing. So. It's okay. And then there's going to be other games where, Bo has 7 catches and 2 touchdowns, and Shipley had 60 yards. That's football. But we know who our playmakers are, if that's your question. And we absolutely, this game's about matchups. It's about players, not plays. I've always said that. And making sure that we give our players an opportunity to win. And that's really how I evaluate every week, is did we put them in position to be successful? I know what I'm looking at, and I know you get lots of narratives and comments, but most people have no idea what they're looking at. They don't really understand what the kids are being taught. And so but as I evaluate our plan on both sides, did we put them in position? This game's about the players. It's not about the coaches. Way too much credit, you know. It's about the players and putting them in position to make plays. And as I evaluate every week, because I don't want to walk off the field feeling like we didn't give our kids a chance to win. And as long as I can look in the mirror and say, hey, we gave these guys every opportunity to be successful. At the end of the day, they got to go play. And you know, but all you can do is put them in position to be successful, and make sure that you've prepared them to execute in you know, situationally and confidence and belief and all those things. But you know, you definitely, you know, that's what this championship phase is all about. You know, it's about being focused. It's about your best players playing well, putting them in position to go win the games, you know, because that's how you win in this type of year. You know, your best players got to lead the way, because everybody's got plenty of film on each other as far as who you are. So now who can do what you do better?
How great is it to have a Will Shipley that's fully rested, knowing he gets beat up every single Saturday, it seems? Now he's 2 weeks rested. How big is that for you on Saturday?
Well, that's great. It's been good for him. He certainly has been a workhorse for us, so he's taken a lot of hits. And so we've done a good job, I think, of managing, you know, his, you know, in this world that we're in now with GPS and all that stuff, and really monitoring these players' workload and what their work capacity is as we, you know, evaluate a guy like him, for example, and what his Tuesday practice looks like, you know, in relative to what he's done on game day. So just managing him, I think we've done a good job with that. You know, Bina and our training staff, they do a great job of just kind of keeping us in tune, and I think that's helped him, you know, stay healthy. And but definitely, it's been good for him just to kind of have a week off to reset for this month of November.
And on the other side of the ball, when you and Coach Goodwin have talked about being physical in this game, and maybe it's because I've never been in a football practice, but how do you practice physicality without hurting each other?
Yeah, well, I just think, you know, when you play football, there's a callousness, I guess, that comes with it, and it just takes a little time. You know, I mean, if any of you've played football in here, if you can remember the first time you put pads on, right, and you know, back in the day, and man, you'd be about sore as crap for about 3 days, and then all of a sudden you didn't feel it anymore. And I mean, you're falling and tumbling and getting hit, and you just don't feel it. It's just like norm. And that comes with playing the game, and it comes with practicing a certain way. And so it's no different in that, you know, we don't go and tackle, but how we've prepared since August, you know, all through camp to develop that physicality. You don't just show up in November and say, all right, we're a physical team. All right, we're going to be tough today. That doesn't work. You're probably 4-4 right now. So you know, that's just doesn't work that way. So it goes back to camp and creating that callousness in your body, so to speak. And then it's how you practice. And so we practice tough and physical on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I've always believed in that. We're never going to get away from that. I mean, unless they just say we got to go out there and, you know, underwear every day. You know, we practice tough on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And we've done that for 14 years. And I think that's you know, and we get better as we go. And I think we've been a very physical team, you know, for a long time. You know, you don't win at the highest level. You know, I mean, you're not going to beat Alabama if you're not a physical football team. It's just not going to happen. And so, not that you're perfect, but you have to have a toughness, physical toughness and mental toughness, and I think that's a part of it too. But to answer your question is we're good on good. You know, we do good on good one period on Mondays. We do good on Tuesdays. We do good on Wednesdays, and we practice tough. I mean, it's physical. I mean, these are competitive guys, and so when we go inside drill today, and it's Walker Parks and Brian Brzee, I mean, you have to show up, and it's full pads. I mean, even though we're not tackling people to the ground, there's a physicality in that offensive line and defensive line that you better show up to practice with, or it's going to be a bad day. There's no brother-in-law on it out there, and so then you're going good on good pass rush, one-on-one pass rush. You're doing good on good scale, good on good team pass. We usually finish the day with a little O versus D period, a little fastball. And again, you also have to be smart as far as taking people to the ground and things like that. But we'll have what we call thud, and we'll do a live 2-minute drill on Wednesday. Wednesday we're in shells, but we're still inside. We're still team pass. We're still scale. We're still OLDL. There's a lot, So again, it's just how you practice every single day to try to create that, and then it's your scout team presentations. You have to when you're in your separate periods, team separate, and you're going against scout looks. It's how you practice in those periods and the type of looks that you get from your scout team to try to create the very best you can. The mentality. I'm gonna take T.J. Dudley today and put him at running back. Because his nickname is Bull, and this is bully ball. These dudes will bully you if you let them. I mean, these are 3 backs that are really, really good players, and they have a physical mentality, and it just comes with your approach every day and how you go to work.
You just faced a really good running team and a really good running back in the last game, but does run support change when you face a team with this kind of physical approach?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to. You want to mix it up. You don't want to just have the same pitch every time, but you want to mix it up as far as how you support it. Is it corner support? Is it safety support? There's different ways in how you commit to that. But then also, there's times where it's coverage, and you're going to try to hold up. But if they hurt you, then you've got to expose yourself. You got to play some man coverage, and you got to commit more people to the box, more numbers to the box. So that's just the way it is, and that's all goes back to how you match up, inside. All goes back to the front. Our guys defeating blocks, even though that and which gives you an extra guy. If you got a guy that's winning his matchup, well, then maybe you can be a little more coverage. But if they're blocking you, then you have to commit more resources to it.
Where's Kobe Pace right now?
He's much better. He's much better. He's probably next week. That's kind of where we are. We were hopeful for this week, but he's probably not going to make it this week. He's going to be close. I think he's going to be close for Saturday, but probably more next week.
Maffa had one of his best games against Syracuse, 2 4th down conversions, including a touchdown. I know you've been saying for a long time his day is coming, but you look across the country for a number 2 or number 3 back, he's got to be pretty close to the top.
Oh, he's special. Yeah, I think we have 3 elite backs. I think we got three guys that'll play in the NFL one day. I don't think there's any question about it. We'll look back in 5 years and everybody's going to go, man, they had Shipley, Maffa, and Pace all on the same team. Why didn't they hand them the ball more? So I think that day will come. Right now they're all at different stages in their careers and development. But Maffa's special. He is a really, really talented back, and he's unique. To be as big as he is and as fast as he is, he's got great hips. He's got great vision in the hole. He catches the ball well. He's a really good protector, and he's just starting to really hit his stride. I think from a confidence standpoint. So we're very blessed to have the guys we got.
How beneficial do you think the open week was to get Brzee and XT back to their conditioning, full game ready shape?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from XT, because he's done a great job on his conditioning side, it's just 2 more weeks of just great healing in that foot. And just, because, again, it's not something that he's got to play with all year. It's one of those things from where he started, gets better as he goes. Because, they wouldn't have let him go play if the healing wasn't where where he could play. But there was going to be a little bit of pain involved, and that's just getting better and better and better. So you'll see him ramp it up, over this month. I've got high expectations for him in November, and we're going to need him. We're going to need him down the stretch here to be, and that's, hey, and he obviously it was a tough situation for him in camp, but he's gotten a couple of games under his belt and kind of gotten the rust off of himself. He's gotten some conditioning back going. He's in the best spot that he's been as far as how he actually feels and his ability to really do what he wants to do. He's been a player of the game on 6 snaps, so he's got confidence. So I think this is an opportunity for him to really, because we got 4 more games and we got something in postseason as well. So I think he's got a chance to really finish well and have a great ending. And then Brian, it's been great because obviously he's missed a lot, and his conditioning and just football speed not quite where it needs to be. Just because he missed a lot of time. So it's been good. Good week last week, and off to a good start this week. But same thing. If he's on the field for the month of November, he'll have a great finish to the season. There's no doubt about that.
Speaking of injuries, yesterday T-Bone explained to us about his moped incident and then how he slammed his own head in his own car door. Have you considered putting him in some sort of bubble or?
Yeah, he's his daddy's boy, that's for sure. Holy moly, he's had some weird injuries for sure, but he just keeps going. He really does, and he was that way in high school. I mean, he played with a separated shoulder, I don't know, several games in high school, but he's a tough kid. Yeah, the moped thing, that was, he had to miss a game. And so that was a tough day for him. So.
And he's having a good season by any measure.
Yeah. And if we can just keep him available, he'll do more. So you want to just wrap him up in some bubble wrap or something. But he's a tough kid, and he wanted to play the one week, but he couldn't. He was completely cut up. His whole face looked terrible, and he had a little kind of concussion symptoms as well. So. That set him back, but he's back in a good spot. So the week off has been good for him, and good start last night.
Dabo, what are the things you remember about watching DJ play against Notre Dame back in 2020?
Man, he was just amazing. I just remember, the big plays, how he kept his poise, how he led. I mean, he was awesome. I mean, it was a great night. I mean, he had a couple big plays to Cornell in particular that I remember, and wasn't too big for him. Obviously, he'd got a chance to play against Boston College the week before, so it wasn't the first time for him to run out there. But he just executed the plan well and made a bunch of big plays, and I remember the second overtime there where they called us in, right, and then reviewed it and said they called us out, or they reviewed it and said we were in, I think, gave us a touchdown, and then we're getting ready to kick the extra point, and they called timeout again. We're going to review the review. You remember that? It was the first. I think it was the first time in the history of football that they reviewed the review, and they said, no, we didn't mean it. Now you got to go do it again. And we were able to get it in there at the end. But anyway, he was great. A lot of big plays that he made. Made some beautiful throws and did everything he could to give us a chance. And we came up short. It was a heck of a game and tough one to lose.
We're 8 weeks into the season. We're entering the championship phase, as you call it. How do you assess the previous 8 weeks? Is the team where you thought they would be? If not, what do they need to do, starting with this Notre Dame game?
Well, so November 1. So this is we got our first win, November 1, 2008, when I became the head coach. And so that's kind of fitting for us as far as why we start the championship phase November. When you get to November, it's this is when you have to be at your best. This is when divisions are being settled. This is when conferences are being settled. This is when, state rivalries are being settled. This is when national bigger pictures are being determined. And so it's huge, and everything builds. It all builds from as we break our year down. Getting ready to transformation to prime time. And we started prime time August 1st, and we've been but it all builds. It all builds, just like a business has a first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, right? I mean, it all builds. And this is when you want to be at your best. So to answer your question, and you make adjustments all along the way. It never goes exactly the way you want it, but where we are, we're where we hope to be. Right? No. Did we necessarily get here the way I envisioned it? No. But rarely does that happen. And occasionally, but rarely. It's mostly, there's a lot of challenges along the way, and navigating those and making decisions. And but we're in a good spot. And there's 6 undefeated teams in the country, 131 teams. It's hard to win. It's hard to win, and especially in college football, especially to win every week. It's really, really difficult to win. And yeah, I mean, we're in a good spot. And as far as what we got to do, we got to get back on track, taking care of the ball. Again, we had 3 turnovers in 7 games. That was a huge part of us being 7-0. And then all of a sudden you have 4 turnovers in 1 game. That's got to be a one-off, because you're not gonna win many games. It's a miracle that we won that one. We've been really good on third down. We've been one of the better third down teams that we've had. So we've got to continue to do that. I think we're doing a great job there. We've had good balance. We've been explosive at times. We've had some huge plays. We've been physical. We've been able to run the football very effectively. I think that's a real positive. I think defensively, from the last 4 games to the first 4 games, we've gotten better, and we've settled in. I think we know who we are. We know who our playmakers are. We've gotten some guys a lot of experience, from where we were 8 weeks ago. So I think our kicker has had a heck of a year. Our punter is hitting his stride. We've had big plays in special teams. We've blocked kicks. We've had big returns. So, I think you're always a work in progress, but as far as where we are, we're a team that still has its best football in front of them. We have not played a complete game yet. We've had moments in quarters. So the next thing for us is to really put it all together. That's kind of where that's the next step for us. Just put it all together, really execute our plan to win with precision. We've been really good at bits and pieces of it, but we've got to put it all together, because that's what it's going to take, to win at this phase of our journey this year. It takes you got to be really detailed. You got to be very precise in executing the aspects of your plan to win.
What will your interest level be tonight when the playoff rankings are announced?
Very little, very little. It just doesn't matter, right? It'd be high interest if I was going to find out where we were going tonight. But the only thing I'm interested in is trying to win in South Bend. That's really it, because that's all that matters. They may come out tonight and say we're the #1 team in America, right? There ain't nobody going to give us a trophy for that. So it just doesn't matter. And if they say you're the number 10 team in America, well, that doesn't matter either. It just doesn't. It really has no relevance at this point. So the only thing that matters is how we play against Notre Dame.
For your teams of the past, is this unusually late for a team not to have played a complete game yet?
2016, I don't know that we played a complete game all year, to be honest with you. I aged dog years in 16. You know, remember all year everybody's like, what's wrong with Clemson? They stink. They barely beat Troy. We had, what, 8 games, 6 points or less? Deshaun Watson was either a touchdown or an interception, right? And everybody's like, what's wrong with Deshaun? You know, this and that. And my frustration, that team in my mind, you know, it's 22 now. I look back at that team, and that team, you know, from where we were, 15 might have been our best team, honestly. And but I look back at that team from where we were in that locker room in Arizona to where we ended up. And the frustrating thing about that team, at times we were dysfunctionally good, and that can be very frustrating to be as a coach. But it was such a talented group, but it was like they just wanted to push fast forward. Can we just get to Tampa? We know where we're going, and that's as opposed to no, we need to beat Troy, right? And I think that's you know, I'll probably write about it in a book one day. But that's kind of, you know, that they were so good, and I mean, but you know, next thing you know, you're up 17, and there's 7 minutes to play. Next thing you know, it's an onside kick, right? So I feel like I'm kind of reliving a little bit of that with this group. So that was a year where, you know, we didn't play many complete games. We just won, right? And then it kind of caught up with us against Pitt. You know, what we have? I don't know. We had 650 yards of offense, and they had about 600 too. But I think Deshaun turned it over 3 times, maybe inside like the 10. I mean, it was just bad, right? Because you're getting all these yards and you're not getting anything for it, kind of like Syracuse. But we ended up getting beat, and I thought we played better after that. But you know, even in the championship game that year, it was that VTech in Orlando? Was that the bathroom thing? And we get down there in Orlando and had. Same thing. We kind of had a lead in that game. Next thing you know, I think we might have come down an onside kick, but it was we just couldn't quite put them away, or we thought we'd have them away, and then they'd be right back. And well, the complete game was Ohio State. We won 31-0. Nobody predicted that, right? Like nobody predicted that. I'm not sure many people picked us to win, but that was probably our one complete game. The national championship was an unbelievable game, but it wasn't a complete game. We fumbled the ball, you know. We did some dumb stuff along the way. Didn't 4th and 1, we get stuffed. But we did good things. We found a way to win. So you know, and that's the key. But in 18, we played a lot of complete games. And, you know, and we beat a lot of people by a lot of points. And then it was just like, you know, then it was they don't play nobody, right? And that was the narrative all that year. But we were just playing a lot of complete football games, and we were a really good team. And what we did during the season, we did in the playoff and in the national championship. We didn't do anything different. And that team was amazing. You know, they were truly in the moment, truly focused, truly enjoyed every second of it. It was a unique group. You know, our 16 group was like, okay, let's just get back to the national championship game. They were kind of pissed from 15 and like, you know, but you don't get to do, you know, that was a kind of a learning process of you know, what it takes to get there. So this team has been different in that we've just, you know, we haven't played a complete game, but we've found ways to win. That's the similarity, but I think our issues have been different, if you will, from 16.
It's not the fast forward button this year. What is it?
What is it? I think just maturity in some spots, youth in some spots, a little bit of a lack of continuity in a couple of areas, and that's probably been the biggest thing, you know. And we've played some really good teams. I mean, we've played some elite quarterbacks, man. Nobody wants to give any credit to. So you know, all of a sudden you maybe don't bring your A game, but every year's a different deal. Just like every week's a different week. And look around college football, I mean, that was awesome. I mean, I had my whole day laid out. I'm like people do this every week. It was a blast. I mean, I wrote it out like a kid. You know, I had all the noon games, I had all the 3:30 games, and then I had all the night games. And then I didn't even know I had it on my TV, but I have this thing called tiling, where you can have like 4 games, and it was the greatest thing ever. I mean, I literally just watched football all day, took notes, made mental notes as well, and just it was a blast watching football. But again, you just get reminded how hard it is to win. You know, I mean, you got undefeated teams, barely beating 3 and 5 teams, you know, down to the last play. I mean, it's football. It's college football. I mean, the record stuff, man, you better show up and be ready to play. It's there's some crazy things. I mean, you know, we had one team get beat 49-0. Like, you know, holy cow, right? I mean, there's just crazy things that happen in football. Yeah, 8 turnovers. I mean, 8. It's a 14-13 game, and you know, so I got a chance to see some future opponents. It's a 14-13 game on the road in the third quarter, and you feel like and then you have 6 turnovers in a quarter. I mean, good luck with that. I mean, it's just crazy. But that's football. That's football. That's why you never know. That's why you got to play the game. You line up and play the game. It's not about, you know, Coach Stallings used to always say that, right? You know, how many times y'all heard me say that story? Coach Stallings, he'd say, hey, brother, any game ain't played on paper, right? And he'd say, hey, man, if it was played on paper, I'd walk out there with my team, my plan, my roster, and the other coach would walk out there with his team, his plan, his roster, and the referee'd look at it, and the crowd would go, ooh, and ah, and then the ref would go, winner, right? But that's not real life. That's not real life. You compare rosters to some of these teams that win and lose. I mean, it's you know, it's different. It's not played on paper. It's not. Thank God. If it was played on paper, we ain't got 2 national championships in the last few years and all that stuff. You know, because I mean, you go back, heck, we weren't supposed to beat LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama. We ain't supposed to beat a lot of these people, Notre Dame. So thankfully, the game's not played on paper. It's played by people. And, you know, we got a bunch of good people here.
Any questions for Coach from Zoom?
Go ahead. I know number 7, Isaiah Foskey, is dangerous off the edge, but what does Notre Dame's pass rush look like in terms of how often they'll blitz and what they like to do on 3rd down?
Yeah, they'll mix it up. They do a good job, really, coverage-wise. You know, 2 safety, 1 safety, 2 deep, 2-man, quarters. You know, they do a little bit of everything. They're very well coached. They do have very good edge pressure guys. 7 is special for sure. 9's really good too. You know, and those guys roll in there. 99 is a big, strong kid. They're thick inside. So, you know, the backers, they'll use them effectively. These guys have played a million snaps for them. So, you know, it's a really good group, but they're a combination as far as, you know, what they do coverage-wise. They're very multiple.
Ebo, this is Matt. You mentioned Notre Dame winning 4 out of 5, and I know you don't want to look ahead, but obviously Louisville seems like it's playing really well right now. Does it seem like y'all have played some teams when they've been playing their best football so far this year?
Yeah. I think we've had 8 wins, and I think Ross still 5 of the games we were their first loss, right? So, you know, nobody wants that first loss, and you know, you just we've played some teams that had a lot of fight in them, you know. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. 5 out of 8 games, you played an undefeated team at that point, and you're their first loss. So you know you're going to get everything that they got. But Notre Dame's actually won 5 out of their last 6, and yeah, Louisville. I mean, our everybody. I mean, it seems like every week we know we're going to get everybody's absolute best shot, regardless of what their record is. That just kind of, again, comes with being at Clemson. So That's why you don't play to an opponent. That's why you don't play to a kick time. That's why you don't play to the scoreboard. That's why you don't play to a record. You know, you better play to a standard. And you have to prepare to a standard week in and week out. It's the biggest game of the year. And teams that don't have that mindset, they're inconsistent. You know, easier said than done, but it's something that you have to develop with your approach every day.